Recording. And I would like to welcome our guest speaker, Aidan Peake. Aidan, over to you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mark, for inviting us to this Village Connect Bite Size. As you will see, I'm joined by Nikki Morgan. Nikki is the apprenticeship lead at BCOT, and her experience and knowledge in that area is going to be useful for this call. So she can chip in when needed, probably a few minutes in the middle of the call when we're talking about apprenticeships. Okay, so let me try and share my screen. Here we go. So that's who we are. Mark's given an outline of what we're doing here. We're trying to make links into the local area. And the idea is that we can build some useful network connections over the coming years and provide us with some of the things that we need as a school and maybe that you need as well. We should be benefiting on both sides. So let's see if I can get this working. There we go. I'll go through some of the things that we are looking for specifically. But there are more general things that we're looking for as well. The first thing that we do is we provide for all our year 10s a week of work experience at the end of the academic year. So it's the middle of July. Now, obviously this year, COVID has meant that we are not able to run our work experience, but we are looking for companies that would like to get involved for July 2022. Now, all you need to do really is be willing to take on a student for 5 working days for 1 week in July and show them around and give them an idea of what it's like to work in the organisation that you work in, or if you're a single person running a business, to what's it like to run a business, and give them a really good idea of what it is that they will need to do when they start work. Things like the longer working day, things like the variety of different tasks that come in, things like if you're late to work, that's a really big thing. Okay, so some of the sort of things that we take for granted, our 14, 15-year-olds don't really have an idea of how this works. And work experience is a really useful tool for this. They come back, it's very positive. The first thing they do in year 11 is they have a review of their work experience. It is almost universally positive. Okay, so that's the first thing that we are looking for. We're also looking for an apprenticeship directory. Now, there's a large push in government at the moment to fill a skills gap by providing lots of funding for different apprenticeships across a variety of sectors. Now, anyone can get involved in apprenticeships from, as I say, a single person running a business through SMEs through to global corporations. Large companies pay a levy into this, which means that the cost of actually having an apprentice on is quite low. I'm going to hand over to Nikki at this point to just give sort of 2 or 3 minutes of more detailed description. What I'll do when I come back is we're looking for companies that would be interested in taking on an apprentice once they leave Robert Mays. But Nikki's going to give you some of the benefits for you as well as for the students.
Okay, thanks, Aidan. Yeah, I'll just jump on where you say with the levy. So employers fall into 2 categories. It's either a levy or a non-levy employer. So the levy employers are businesses that are anywhere with a salary bill of £3 million and over, where 0.5% of that is put into a pot for apprenticeship. If you're a smaller employer, so under that threshold, then you will get, if you took on a 16 to 18-year-old, they'd be fully funded for their course, their college course. And if they're 19 years plus, you pay just a 5% contribution towards the apprenticeship. There are also incentives. So any 16 to 18-year-old, an employer will get £1,000. At the moment as well, if you take on an apprentice before the end of September, there's an additional £3,000, and that's for anybody aged 16 years plus. So 103, they can get an apprenticeship, you'd still get 3,000. Now that incentive has been extended a couple of times, so it may even get extended again from the end of September. Work experience was a really good point to note as well, that where you said that, Aidan, as well, from school, but also from college, because and late to work is one I use all the time, because they think they can just rock up late and it doesn't make any difference, and being late is my massive pet hate. So they do have to learn that. And I would say that a lot of students from 16 in their first year, or especially in their first few months, will find that quite challenging to start, because if they've not had a part-time job, please just don't be under any illusion that however it was when you were younger and when we all worked, we seemed to all work when we were younger, they don't now. So it can be quite a shock to them. So that is, and the communication, the skills and behaviors, that's a big thing as well for young people these days, because a lot of it is done like this. It's online, it's phones, it's not picking up a phone like we used to do, it's not knocking on doors, it's not actually talking to people if they don't have to talk to people. So that has to be, that's learned behavior, and that is quite a big thing. And a lot of apprenticeships are, there's a lot of focus on that as well. So they'll be doing that, they'll be doing presentation, all of that. So going back to what you can get as an employer, you can get obviously you're getting someone that you can mold. So some person that will enhance and develop your business. Skills gaps in the main areas are sort of engineering, but there's 750 different apprenticeship standards on offer, just to give you an idea, all the way from level 2, which is the intermediate level from when they leave school, all the way up to level 7. It doesn't have to just be a new person from school. It could be anybody could do an apprenticeship, so within any part of the organisation. But the idea, obviously, you take on an apprentice, you're moulding them to how you want them to be and teaching them from the start so they won't have any bad habits. That's the whole idea. And the minimum you can employ them is for 30 hours a week if they're under 18. Well, it's actually anybody at 30 hours a week. Under 18, they can't work more than 40 hours a week. Over 18, fill your boots. They can work for however long that they want to work. I'm just trying to think incentives I've done. There's 2 types of apprenticeships. There's either work-based learning, so that is no college attendance whatsoever. So they're typically like your team leader, business admin, customer service roles like that, where there'll be no college attendance. The assessor would come into the workplace once a month and set them tasks and coach them all the way through their apprenticeship. Or there's the classic day release that you would think of as predominantly curriculum-led apprenticeships, is what I would say. So they come into college 1 day a week for 35 weeks of the year, and which is not much if you think about it. So a lot of their apprenticeship learning is within the workplace. So it's just underpinning knowledge that they will learn within college. And they would do their apprenticeship. It would be anywhere from 1 year to 4 years, depending on what apprenticeship standard they're following. And then at the end, they do an endpoint assessment. So this is new. It changed about 3 years ago, and it was changed by employers, for employers. That's their strap line. And they are right from the start, they know what they're going to be tested on, if you see what I mean. So we use the analogies a bit like learning to drive. You learn to drive, you take your test, you learn your trade, your apprenticeship, whatever the course you're doing, and then you have an independent assessor come into the workplace to assess them on their actual apprenticeship. And they're all graded as well now. So it's not just a pass or a fail. You can get a pass or a distinction, which I think is good, because the students that have worked really hard and deserve a distinction will get a distinction on their overall apprenticeship standard. I'm just trying to think what I'm conscious that I've got to talk against time. I don't know if I've missed anything there, Aidan, that you think.
We'll come back to it if we need to, but that's excellent. Thank you for that description. Yeah, the benefits for both the apprentice and for the company running the apprenticeship are huge, as Nikki outlined. The other thing that would go back to sort of the requirements that we're looking for Robert Mace. We've got various wonderful events. The next one that's coming is a careers fair. Now we run this every year, and we run it face to face on the Robert Mace site. We've got a date for Thursday, September the 23rd. 2021. Now we're assuming by this point we will be open up and be able to have this face to face. If you are a company that comes to careers fairs, then please come along to ours. It's a great way of getting right in front of year 9, 10 and 11s come along to this, and we have a really good turnout. We have most of year 10 will come through, and quite a lot of year 9, and also quite a lot of year 11. That's the final year before they do their GCSEs. But if you're willing to come and man a stall and talk to some of our students and their parents, then it would be great to see you. And again, our contact details will be at the end. You can get in touch with us there. one of the things that we do is we run what we call enrichment days at Robert Mays. Now, the two that we're running, I'm hoping to run next year. The first one is a STEM day, and this is running sort of practical engaging activities to a class of year 9s. And so we've got things this year where we're launching rockets, we're building bridges, we've got computer programming, games, that sort of thing. But anything that can engage the students on the road to a STEM path. STEM is science, technology, engineering and mathematics. But if you are willing, or if your company does this type of thing and come in and can provide a day's resource for us to run run a classroom, then please come in. You'll be in a classroom, but there'll be an adult from Robert Mays always with you and other people floating. So our students will definitely get engaged. They're on the whole, they're a good bunch, and they will get engaged with some good activities. The other thing we're hoping to run is a Year 10 Enterprise Day, which will run on the same format, where external people will come in and run activities, but this is much broader range. It doesn't have to be STEM, it can be anything involving the business world. We've had financial games, we've had accountancy packages, that sort of thing, where they can come in and run anything that might engage and educate our Year 10s as to what they'll be expecting when they get to the world of work. The last thing I would like to talk about is we're trying to build now a body of people that will come in and talk to our students about their own careers. And we're talking 10 minutes, 15 minutes maximum, where just come in and outline what you do, what's good about your job, what qualifications you need, what sort of hours you work, is there a lot of travel, you know, some sort of idea about what salary and career progression they can get. We find that students, when they come to us, their idea of what careers is what they see. So their parents, the people around them, you know, like teachers, nurses, shop workers, relatives, etc. So we're trying to broaden the horizons by getting as many people in as we can, just to give them an idea of what careers they do. Now, there are quite a lot of video versions of this. We actually really like people to come in and engage with our students face to face if that is possible. So if you fancy doing that, and it could be talking to an assembly, if you're feeling brave, a whole year group, it could be to an individual classroom. We're trying to link careers to individual subjects now. But if you fancy coming in and doing that, we had a lady come in from hospitality, she ran an assembly, and we had a follow-on a couple of weeks later with people that were interested in hospitality. And there were about 22 that came in into that, and it was a fantastic event. It really was good, and some of those kids ended up going into the hospitality sector. That's pretty much it. Here are details if you need them. It's better to contact me via email because I'm not in my office all day. Obviously, I'm teaching as well. Nikki's details are there as well. These are just ideas that we've got. If you've got something else that you would like to provide, which will enhance our careers offering, then please get in touch and we can talk about it. If you've got any questions about what I've said and what Nikki has said, again, please get in touch. We're more than happy to talk to you. This is a good time of year, certainly for me, towards the end of the academic year where things lighten up a bit work-wise. And I can really get involved in organising some things for next year for our Year 11s and maybe Year 10s and 9s as well. Thank you very much for listening. Do contact us if you have anything. Otherwise, we will move to any questions.